Let's get something straight. Choosing distance is not an act of cruelty. It's not a lack of love, and it's certainly not proof that you don't care. It's an act of self-respect. But here's the thing, people don't like it when you start prioritizing yourself. They'll call you cold, detached, heartless. Why? Because your distance disrupts the narrative where your worth is measured by how much access they have to you. See, when you decide to create space, it's not because you're trying to hurt someone. It's because you've recognized something important. Proximity does not equal love. Chaos does not equal connection. And sacrificing yourself to maintain relationships that drain you, that's not love either. But oh, the guilt trip is coming. The silent treatment, the passive-aggressive remarks, the you've changed accusations. Of course you've changed. You've decided that your peace is no longer up for negotiation. The reality is some people don't want you healed. They don't want you whole. They want you accessible, available, and apologetic. They are mad, not because you don't care, but because they can no longer use your time, your energy, your kindness for their own comfort. And that's the shift when you stop engaging in unhealthy cycles, when you stop justifying yourself, when you realize that not everyone deserves access to you. So let them be mad, let them misunderstand. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. The people who truly care, they won't resent your boundaries, they'll respect them. Let's talk about boundaries, not as walls to keep people out, but as doors that allow the right people in. Boundaries are not selfish, they are not cruel, they are an act of self-respect. A declaration that says, I value myself enough to protect my time, my energy, and my emotional well-being. But the moment you start setting boundaries, something interesting happens. Some people get uncomfortable. They push back. They question you. They make you feel like you're doing something wrong, like you're being unfair or distant. Why? Because your boundaries disrupt their access to you, and for a long time they've benefited from that access without restrictions. See, when you don't have boundaries, you allow everyone in. You give, you stretch, you bend, and you accommodate. And at first it feels like love, like connection, like being a good person. But over time you start to feel drained, resentment builds. You begin to notice how much you pour into others while leaving yourself empty. And that moment when exhaustion meets awareness is when you realize that something has to change. That change is boundaries. Setting boundaries is a way of telling yourself, I am worthy of protection. My mental and emotional well-being matter just as much as anyone else's. It's about recognizing that you are not an emotional landfill where people can dump their problems without consideration for how it affects you. You are not an endless source of energy that people can drain without reciprocation. And here's the hardest truth. The people who resist your boundaries the most are often the ones who benefited the most from you not having them. They'll call you selfish, distant, or uncaring, but let's be clear. Choosing yourself is not an act of betrayal. It's an act of survival. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot continue to be available to everyone all the time at the expense of yourself. True love, real friendships, and healthy relationships do not demand self-sacrifice as proof of loyalty. The people who truly care about you will respect your boundaries, not resent them. So if someone gets upset because you choose to protect your peace, let them. If they accuse you of being different, take it as a compliment. Growth looks like selfishness to people who benefited from your self-abandonment. At the end of the day, your boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about honoring yourself. They are about creating space for relationships that nourish you rather than deplete you. They are a statement that says, I am worthy of the same love, care, and respect that I so freely give to others. And that is not something to apologize for. Rejection is one of the hardest things for people to process. It doesn't matter if it's a romantic breakup, a friendship drifting apart, a family member setting boundaries, or even a professional setback. Rejection stings. It triggers something deep within us, something primal. Because as human beings, we are wired for connection. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Rejection is not always about the person being rejected. Sometimes it's about the person who is choosing distance. And that's what people struggle with the most. Not just the fact that you are stepping away, but the fact that you have a choice in the matter. See, when you create distance, when you say, I no longer want to engage in this dynamic, people don't just hear, I need space. They hear, I don't choose you, and that is hard for them to accept. Why? Because deep down, we all want to be chosen. We want to be wanted. We want to feel like we matter to someone else. So when someone sets a boundary, even if it's healthy and necessary, it can feel personal. It can feel like rejection. And rejection often breeds resentment. That's why people lash out. That's why they get angry when you walk away. That's why they say things like, you don't care, you've changed, you think you're better than us, because it's easier for them to villainize you than it is to sit with the discomfort of being on the receiving end of distance. But here's where it gets complicated. People don't always recognize their own role in the situation. They don't reflect on the ways they may have contributed to your need for distance. They don't ask themselves, did I cross a boundary? Did I take too much without giving back? Did I make them feel drained, unappreciated, or disrespected? Instead, they go into defense mode because it's easier to be mad at you for leaving than it is to examine why you left. But here's what you need to understand. Their struggle with rejection is not your responsibility to fix. You are not obligated to shrink yourself or stay in unhealthy spaces just to make someone else feel comfortable. You are not responsible for how they process your decision to choose yourself. The people who truly value you will not make you feel guilty for setting boundaries. They will not manipulate you into staying in spaces that harm you. They will respect your need for distance, even if it hurts. And as for those who don't, their reaction is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of their own fears, their own insecurities, their own difficulty in handling rejection. So if someone is angry because you chose distance, let them be angry. If they are hurt because you walked away, let them feel hurt. Their emotions are valid, but they are not your burden to carry. Let's talk about peace, not the kind that comes from a quiet room or a slow morning, but the kind that exists deep within you, the kind that allows you to breathe, to rest, to feel at home in your own mind, the kind that lets you wake up without the weight of other people's chaos sitting on your chest. That peace, that is yours, and it is not up for negotiation. But here's the problem. Too many people think your peace is something they get to bargain with. They think it's something they have a say in. They want you to compromise it for their comfort. They want you to stretch yourself thin so they can feel whole. And when you refuse to do that, when you start choosing your peace over their expectations, they get upset. They say things like, you don't care about me anymore. You're so different now. You're being selfish. But what they're really saying is, I don't like that you've stopped sacrificing yourself for me. See, when you're used to being the fixer, the giver, the one who carries the emotional weight in relationships, people get comfortable with that version of you. They expect you to always be available, always understanding, always willing to put yourself last. And the moment you stop, the moment you say, I can't do this anymore, they don't just see it as a change, they see it as a betrayal. Because your peace disrupts their patterns. Your boundaries force them to take responsibility for their own emotions. And not everyone is ready for that level of accountability. But here's what you need to understand. Peace is not something you should have to fight for in your own life. It is not a privilege that others can decide to grant you. It is a right. It is the foundation of your well-being, and if someone is constantly disrupting it, draining it, or demanding that you trade it for their comfort, that is a red flag. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to you. You don't have to explain why you no longer tolerate dysfunction, drama, or disrespect. You don't have to prove that your peace is worth protecting, because here's the truth. Your peace is not selfish. Your peace is not up for discussion. Your peace is not a group decision. It is yours. And you are allowed to protect it, even if it means disappointing people, even if it means walking away, even if it means being misunderstood. The people who truly love and respect you will never ask you to sacrifice your peace to keep them comfortable. They will understand that your well-being matters just as much as theirs. And as for the ones who don't, let them be upset, let them talk, let them misunderstand you. Guilt is one of the most powerful emotions a person can experience. It has the ability to make you question yourself, to make you doubt your choices, and most dangerously, to make you betray yourself just to ease someone else's discomfort. And that's exactly why some people use guilt as a tool of control. When you start setting boundaries, when you start prioritizing your well-being, when you finally say enough is enough, some people won't try to respect your decision. They'll try to make you feel guilty for it, because if they can make you feel guilty, they can make you bend, they can make you compromise, they can make you come back to the version of yourself that was more convenient for them. It sounds like, after everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me? Wow, you've really changed. You used to care, so you're just going to walk away like I mattered? I guess I'm just not important to you anymore. Do you see what's happening here? They aren't actually addressing your reasons for choosing distance or setting boundaries. They aren't taking accountability. They aren't asking how they can be better. Instead, they're shifting the focus onto you, making you feel like the bad guy, making you question whether you're being too harsh, making you wonder if you're the problem. But let's get one thing straight. Setting boundaries is not a betrayal. Protecting your peace is not cruelty. Walking away from dysfunction is not selfish. Yet guilt is powerful. And for a long time, you might have been conditioned to respond to it, to believe that love means endless sacrifice, that caring for people means always saying yes, that being a good person means never disappointing anyone. But ask yourself this: who benefits from you believing that? Because it's certainly not you. People who truly love and respect you will not try to guilt you into staying in situations that hurt you. They will not manipulate your emotions to keep control over you. They will not make you feel like you owe them your time, your energy, your peace just because of history or obligation. The people who use guilt as a weapon do it because they know it works. They know that if they can make you feel bad enough, you'll stay. You'll over-explain. You'll apologize for things that don't require an apology. You'll exhaust yourself trying to prove that you're still a good person. But let me tell you something. You do not have to prove your goodness by destroying yourself for other people. Real love is freedom, not guilt. Real love is understanding, not obligation. Real love is respect, not manipulation. So the next time someone tries to make you feel guilty for choosing yourself, pause, ask yourself, am I really doing something wrong, or are they just upset that they can't control me anymore? And then remind yourself of this truth: you are not responsible for managing other people's emotions at the expense of your own well-being. Let them be upset, let them misunderstand, let them say what they want, because your life is not a contract that binds you to suffering just to keep other people comfortable. You deserve to live in peace. And anyone who tries to use guilt to control you was never truly supporting you in the first place. Caring and engaging are not the same thing, but for some reason, people think they are. They assume that if you love someone, you must always be available, always be involved, always be willing to engage, no matter how exhausting, chaotic, or unhealthy the situation may be. But here's the truth. You can care deeply about someone and still choose not to participate in their dysfunction. You can love someone and still keep your distance. You can have empathy for someone's struggles without making them your own. Not everyone understands this, though. When you decide to disengage, when you stop entertaining the same conversations, the same arguments, the same patterns, people take it personally. They think your choice to step back means you don't care. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Caring is an emotion. It's how you feel about someone. It's the concern, the love, the compassion that still exists in your heart. But engagement is a choice. It's where you place your energy, where you invest your time, where you allow your focus to go. And here's the thing, your energy is precious. Your peace is precious. Your mental and emotional well-being are precious. And you don't owe your energy to every situation, even if you care about the people involved. You can still wish someone the best without being the one to fix them. You can still hope someone heals without holding yourself responsible for their healing. You can still love someone from a distance if closeness means sacrificing your peace. But people will try to guilt you into engaging. They will say, if you really cared, you wouldn't ignore me. So you're just going to leave me like everyone else? I thought you were different. Wow, I guess I don't matter to you anymore. What they really mean is, I don't like that you are no longer making me your responsibility. And here's what you need to understand. You are not responsible for fixing people who refuse to fix themselves. You are not responsible for sacrificing your peace just to prove that you care. Because caring is not about how much pain you're willing to endure for someone. Caring is not about how much of yourself you're willing to lose for someone. Caring is about love, and love does not require self-destruction. You can love someone and still say no. You can care about someone and still walk away. You can have empathy and still protect yourself. The moment you realize this, everything changes. You stop over-explaining. You stop feeling guilty for stepping back. You stop allowing people to drain you under the false idea that if you really cared, you would stay. The truth is, sometimes the most loving thing you can do for them and for yourself is to disengage, to remove yourself from the situation, to stop participating in cycles that never change. And that is not cold, that is not selfish, that is self-respect. So the next time someone tells you, if you really cared, you would engage, remind yourself of this: I do care. I just care about myself too. For so long, you may have believed that being a kind, loving, and generous person meant keeping your heart open to everyone, no matter how they treated you. You may have thought that love meant endless availability, that friendship meant constant sacrifice, and that family meant tolerating toxic behavior simply because of shared blood. But let's be honest. How has that worked out for you? How many times have you given people unlimited access to you only for them to take advantage of your kindness? How many times have you made excuses for people's behavior, telling yourself that they didn't mean it or they'll change, while their actions continue to drain you? The truth is, access to you is a privilege, not an entitlement. And just because someone wants access to you does not mean they should have it. Let's break this down. Not everyone who wants you deserves you. Some people want access to you because they benefit from you. Maybe they love your emotional support, your kindness, your generosity, but they don't reciprocate. Maybe they love the way you listen, the way you give, the way you show up, but they never do the same in return. These people don't actually value you. They value what you do for them. And when you start setting boundaries, when you start limiting their access, they react. They get angry. They say you're being distant, selfish, or cruel. But Understand this. Their reaction to your boundary does not mean your boundary is wrong. It just means they benefited from you not having one. Not everyone can handle your growth. Another reason some people don't deserve access is that they cannot handle who you are becoming. Growth makes people uncomfortable, especially those who are stuck in the same cycles. When you start prioritizing your peace, when you start making better choices, when you start saying no to things that once drained you, certain people will try to pull you back. They'll say things like, "You've changed." Yes, and that's the point. "You think you're better than us now?" No, but I do think I deserve better. So you're just going to leave us behind? I'm moving forward if you want to come do the work. Not everyone is meant to come with you. Not everyone is meant to grow with you. Some people were only meant to be part of a certain chapter, and forcing them into your future will only slow you down. You are not an all-access pass. You do not have to be available to everyone. You do not have to answer every text, return every call, or entertain every request. You do not have to keep reconnecting with people who have already shown you they don't value your presence. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without inviting them back into your space. You can forgive them without giving them another chance to hurt you. Because here's the thing, you are not an all-access pass. You are not a public space where anyone can come and go as they please. You are not obligated to let people back in just because they miss the way they once had access to you. So the next time someone tries to guilt you into opening a door that you know needs to stay closed, remind yourself of this: I am not required to give everyone access to me. My time, my energy, and my peace are valuable, and not everyone deserves them. Let them be upset. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. Because the people who truly deserve access, they will never demand it. They will respect it. You are allowed to walk away from people who drain you. You are allowed to set boundaries without guilt. You are allowed to put your peace above someone else's expectations. And no, not everyone will understand. Not everyone will be happy with your choices. Some will call you selfish. Some will try to guilt you into engaging. Some will accuse you of not caring simply because you no longer tolerate what you once did. But their feelings do not define your reality. Because here's what you know now. Boundaries are an act of self-respect. You are not responsible for managing other people's emotions at the expense of your own well-being. People struggle with rejection. They will blame you rather than reflect on why you needed distance in the first place. Your peace is not up for negotiation. If someone is constantly disrupting it, they are not entitled to stay in your life. Guilt is a tool of control. Those who try to manipulate you with guilt do so because they know it works, so stop letting it. You can care without engaging. Love does not require self-sacrifice. You can wish someone well without allowing them to drain you. Not everyone deserves access to you. Your time, energy, and peace are sacred. Choose wisely who gets to share them. You do not owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You do not have to apologize for protecting your heart, your energy, and your mental well-being. So let them be mad, let them misunderstand you, let them say whatever they need to say, because at the end of the day, you know your truth, and your truth is this: you are done shrinking yourself to make others comfortable. You are done sacrificing your peace for people who don't respect it. And from now on, you are choosing you. And that is nothing to feel guilty about.